If you want to learn how to work with databases in .NET, you're in the right place. In this video, I'll show you why Entity Framework Core is the top choice for .NET developers and why it is so popular. In this video, we'll dive into one of the two main approaches to using Entity Framework Core, the code-first approach, using the latest .NET version, which is .NET 9 at the moment. Well, welcome to Code of Future. My name is Allen and I help you learn C# and .NET on your own. Now let's dive in. So what is Entity Framework Core? Entity Framework Core is a tool set for .NET developers that simplifies database access by allowing us to work with databases using .NET objects. It eliminates the need to write complex SQL queries by providing a way to query and manipulate data using C# code. Entity Framework Core supports various database operations like creating, reading, updating, and deleting data, making it easier to manage database interactions in an object-oriented manner. There are two main approaches to using Entity Framework Core: the code-first approach and the database-first approach. In this video, we will learn how the code-first approach works. The code-first approach in Entity Framework Core allows us to define the database schema using C# classes and then generate the database from these classes. The database-first approach works the other way around. The code-first approach is ideal when starting a new project without an existing database, as it provides full control over the data model through code. Okay, so we're going to start with the code-first approach, and we're just inside our MVC web app template here. In Visual Studio, the first thing we're going to need to do is go to the dependencies here, click with the right of the mouse, and select Manage NuGet Packages. We're going to need to install the needed NuGet packages in order to implement Entity Framework Core inside our project. So the first package we need here is Entity Framework Core. The first one you see here, click on Install. Click on I accept. Next, we need the Microsoft Entity Framework Core tools. Click on Install as well. And then the Microsoft.Entity Framework Core.SQL Server, since we are connecting our project with a SQL Server database with SQL Server Management Studio, actually. Click on it and install. So all of these packages that we're installing right now have necessary tools and commands needed for us to basically map our C# classes and models and generate a database and connect it basically with the SQL Server database. Okay, now that we have all of our three packages installed, let's just check the models that we have in this project. So here I have only like a simple item model with an ID property and a name property, and we will just store this model inside our database. What we're going to need other than our model, we're going to need a context class, which as a practice is stored inside the data folder. And I'm just going to explain to you what the context class is needed for, but let's just create the data folder firstly. Just add a folder called data. And inside the data folder, we're going to add a class. I'll name it my app context or something with context in it. Click on add. Now here we have our context class. We are going to need that our class inherits from the Entity Framework Core's DB context class. And let me see what we need to inherit here. We need actually to inherit Entity Framework Core on top of the page, I would suggest. Using Entity Framework Core on top of the page, and this class basically contains many properties and methods in order for the context to do its work. So the context is this class, like the main bridge that connects our project with the database. Here we store every instance of the models we have in our project, and with the context, with the method that the context provides, it's possible to basically query data from the database, filter them, get the data, or modify them. What we're gonna need after inheriting the dbContext class is we need a constructor inside our context class, and this will just contain a few generic parameters to enable the needed configurations for our context. So these are the parameters that our constructor needs to have. And what we also need to write here is, as I told you, we need inside the context, we store an instance for each model that we have in our project. In this case, we have this item model, and we need a dbSet instance, which is this entity framework class, and this will be for our item model. We give it a name like items, and we give it this getter and setter. So this is written just like a property and enables us to access this model from the database, and basically what we have in our project to store it in the database. We need to import the models folder on top of the page, my app.models, and this is it for the context. The next step we need to take is to create a database instance in our SQL Server Management Studio that we're gonna use as the database for our project. Just as a reminder, I highly recommend getting my C# ebook, which is currently on sale. It's crucial to learn the fundamentals correctly, and whatever you are building in .NET, this book will be a valuable resource for you. It is a high-quality reference guide as well that you can refer to at any time. Click the link in the description if you're interested, and let's get back to the video. We can just go to the View menu here and click on Server Explorer. Here we have all of the, basically a lot of database instances I had created before. We just need to go here to Data Connections, click with the right of the mouse, and click on Create New SQL Server Database. Here we need to write the server name, and basically if you open up the Microsoft SQL Server Management Studio, you will see the server name on top of the page. If we can just click the name of it here, connect the SQL Server Management Studio to our server, and go back to the project. Input the name here. We'll use the Windows authentication to log on to the server. The encryption will set to false. You click on Trust Certificate here. We're just selecting here the authentication. This is a default one. We're selecting that we do not need to use a password to connect to our database. Basically here, just some options, just some configurations. Don't think too much about it. And give the database a name, like my app database. Click on OK, and after the database will be generated, we should see in this window right here the name of the connection string. The connection string is the address of the physical database. So basically this tells us where the database is located. We should copy this, and the connection string we need to input it in our app settings.json file so that we then can connect our project to this physical database. Here we need to write connection strings, and we need to give a name to the connection string. I usually name it like default connection string, it doesn't matter. Here we input what we took from the we input the name of the connection string, just right here with the name of the server, the name of the database, as you can see here, and we put the encryption to false, and some other configurations. The last step now to connect our project to the database would just be to go to program.cs and add a service in the services containers. Basically, this will connect our database with our project and with our context. So I'll just add the service here, builder services that add context. The name of our context was my app context. Here inside we'll just input a few options. Let me input this in a new line. Options that use SQL Server. And inside here we need to access our connection string to get the location of our database, builder.configuration.get connection string, and we need to input here the name of our connection string. Connection string. Just close the parenthesis here. So basically we are writing a service to connect our context basically with our database here. Just let me remove this dot here. Need to import entity framework on top. So we need to basically add the migrations to our database. A migration is basically just a class that will be created that is the code, the representation of how our database will look like with all of our configurations for our models and the context that we have already written here. So to do that, we're just going to need to go to Tools, Package Manager Console here, and just write a command, add -migration, and just give a name to the migration. Hit on enter. So build succeeded, and we should see this migration class here on the screen. A migrations folder will be basically created. The migrations track every change we do to the database schema, and each time we change the models or the context, we need to add a new migration to the database. You can see here that the table will be created on our database with a columns, an ID column with its specifications and a name column here. The primary key is by default the ID property, as we can see here. And the last thing we need to do is to basically write the comment here, update database, and this migration will be added to our database. Right now, a table for our items should be generated already in our database. If you go to SQL Server Management Studio, to databases, let me find the right database of our project, which were my app database. You can click on tables. We have a table for the migrations here, Entity Framework or Migrations History, which basically tracks all the changes to the database schema that we make. And right below, we see the items table. If we click on Edit Top 200 rows, we should see basically an empty table, but the table with an ID and a name. You can click on Design here to see our columns. So this is how Entity Framework Core's code-first approach works. If you found the video helpful, you should watch the next video on the database-first approach as well, which should appear on the screen. If you got value from the video, don't forget to like it and subscribe to the channel for more content like this. And I'll see you in the next one.